I am Jill Polton. I'm a proud member of WESK, and I am the current chair of the board of directors. And it is my privilege and honor to welcome you all here this afternoon for our special announcement. I'd like to thank Honorable Tina Beaudry-Valour for her presence, and I think I saw a couple other MLAs in the room. There we go, Laura Ross, and was there somebody else? No, okay.
And Mark.
There we go. Thank you. Okay, I thought okay. Wonderful. So we appreciate you being here with us this afternoon. I'd also like to begin by acknowledging that we are on the traditional lands referred to as Treaty 4 territory. And it is in the spirit of coming together, of partnership and collaboration that brings us here today. It was about a year and a half ago the organization articulated and engaged in a strategy to emphasize the fundamental premise of the vision of the organization: closing the gender entrepreneurship gap. WESK supports women entrepreneurs from startup to scale up in their business so that both men and women have an equal opportunity to succeed and be recognized in our province. We recognize that while WESK is a membership-based organization, our renewed and redefined priority enables us to positively impact every woman entrepreneur in our province. For more than 24 years, this has been and continues to be our mandate. We have launched a concerted strategy to inform, educate, and influence Saskatchewan MLAs, business leaders, entrepreneurs, lenders, and investors on how women entrepreneurs contribute to the economy. The contribution of women entrepreneurs in the economy indeed was the crux of all of our efforts and initiatives in this regard. I now call on Prabha Mitchell, CEO of WESK, to elaborate on our fundamental premise and efforts.
It's exciting. Good afternoon, everyone. Thank you all for being here. I'm really happy to see so many of you here this afternoon. Many of you know who WESK is, but WESK exists not just to support women start a business, but we exist to support women scale their business. Male-owned businesses are over 3.5 times likely to reach $1 million in revenue. While economic potential and entrepreneurial activity of women entrepreneurs is high, they face some unique and challenging barriers, some of which include lack of access to capital, networks, mentors, and some intrinsic and extrinsic barriers as well. The aggregate revenue of female majority-owned SMEs in 2011 was $148 billion, and a 10% increase in the number of female-owned businesses by 2021 would increase that to $198 billion. A 20% increase in total revenues among women-owned businesses would add another $2 billion to our economy. The numbers reflect a story of economic growth. However, the numbers also signify a lost economic development opportunity. Addressing barriers and supporting women entrepreneurs to scale up their business could result in a robust and vibrant economy. WESK over the last year made a business case to the government of Saskatchewan that supporting women entrepreneurs is not limited to a gender equity issue, but is part of developing a strong economic policy. We asked the government of Saskatchewan to examine the gender entrepreneurship gap here in our province. Gender diversity goes beyond inclusion. Gender diversity is a critical element of an economic development and profitability strategy. Advancing gender equality in the creation of economic activity has the potential to add another 150 to 420 billion to the economy by 2026. Do we need more numbers to make this case? The government of Saskatchewan has been working closely with WESK on this priority, and I'm honored now to invite the Honorable Tina Beaudry-Valour, Minister of Advanced Education, Minister responsible for Innovation Saskatchewan, and Minister of Status of Women to come up to the podium.
Premier Scott Moe and the Government of Saskatchewan. I would also like to reiterate that we are in Treaty 4 territory. And I'd like to begin by acknowledging a few important people to me in this room. Obviously, Prabha Mitchell and Jill Bolton have been incredible advocates for women in business in this province, and I just want to thank you for your visible leadership in our community and for the mentorship that you provide to so many women who are looking to become entrepreneurs in this province, and I think we all owe you a debt of gratitude for that. It's very important work. I'd also like to acknowledge that Laura Ross is here. She's not only the MLA for Regina Rochdale, but she's also the chair of the Commonwealth Women's Parliamentarians, and I appreciate her support very much. Maureen Petrotsky and Angela are here from the Status of Women Office. It was mentioned that the Deputy Minister, Mark McLaughlin, is here. Tammy Bloor-Cowers is here as well, the ABM, and Jessica Kilbright, oh, there you are also here today. As well, I'd like to acknowledge some of my staff. Ashley Schaaf and Lacey Orange are here. They're important members of my team. And before I begin talking about this really exciting announcement, I think it's important to share that today our government passed Clare's Law. As many of you know, Saskatchewan has a very high rate of interpersonal violence and abuse, and Clare's Law, I think, will allow police to provide information about a prior history of domestic law or abuse to individuals. We are the very first province in Canada to enact this law, and I know that it is not going to change everything on its own, but as part of a larger picture, I think it's a very, very important initiative. And on that, I want to acknowledge the efforts, in particular, of my colleague and friend, Minister Don Morgan, the Minister of Justice and Attorney General, for being such an important ally for women in this province. So, and we have many other, I think, very important male allies in this room, particularly in the business community. So Eric Dillon is here, I see John Lee is here, John Hopkins is here, and I think we have many of them. And I believe that showcasing women as leaders is very critical to reducing interpersonal violence and abuse by shifting attitudes about women. Today's announcement is not going to solve interpersonal violence and abuse, but I do think that it has an important role to play in shifting the script about women. Women are an economic force. We are also taking our rightful place at boardroom tables and in workplaces around the world. Canada has the highest rate of female participation in the workforce among the G7 countries, growing from 45.4% in 1976 to 61.4% in 2018. Women are creating wealth and jobs. Female enrollment in our province's post-secondary institutions is 53%, and the proportion of women receiving a credential has grown from 30.5% to 55% in just under 30 years. We are a highly educated bunch, the majority, in fact. And now more and more women are launching their own businesses in a province where we literally run on small business. In Saskatchewan, there are more than 34,000 female entrepreneurs, which is a 16.5% increase over the last 10 years and represents the third highest growth rate in the country. And entrepreneurship is important. It drives our innovation and economic diversification through disruption. Our government is encouraging the growth of our entrepreneurial ecosystem through a number of initiatives. The Saskatchewan Technology Startup Incentive, a 45% angel investment tax credit to early stage startups, the most aggressive angel investment tax credit in Western Canada. Through our support for collabs, and now we also have the Cultivator, who are incubating and accelerating many of our small businesses through innovation challenges, where the government issues a problem to innovators and entrepreneurs to help us solve some of the challenges that government faces, through some of the programming that is provided through Innovation Place, and certainly through us driving things like our computer science, software engineering programs, and certainly the STEM fields. While a growing number of women are becoming entrepreneurs, I do worry that they are either not entering into the growing tech space or they are not adapting businesses in the service sector in a way that will be resilient in the face of growing and increasing automation and digitization. And so the kinds of businesses women are engaged in is important, and that is why we are working on a number of talent development initiatives, whether it is through collabs or robotics pilots on First Nation reserves, and so on. We've had a number of ladies in tech events, coding in the K-12, and certainly a program called ComIT, where a third of the graduates in pilot programs were women. But what is equally important, and what the recent work by WESK has really driven home for us, is access to capital. While the Saskatchewan Technology Startup Incentive helps with attracting early stage capital, for startups, WESK has noted that scaling up is a challenge for women, and if women cannot scale up their businesses, they cannot help attract and expand the available talent pool, they cannot help shift and grow the investment culture around our entrepreneurs, and they cannot provide important mentorship and visible leadership examples that we need to continue to shift the current script about women. And so this is something that I have heard over and over again as I've traveled this province. And so with that in mind, I am very pleased today to announce an advisory committee to examine the entrepreneurial barriers for Saskatchewan women. This will also have a special focus on access to venture capital funds and financial supports to scale up companies. And I want to thank WESK for being an extremely important part of growing our economy in this province for the benefit of both women and for men. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Minister. Well, that concludes our announcement for this afternoon. But before I let you go, I would just like to take a moment to say thank you to Justin and Katie here at PAC Cowork for opening up the space for this announcement. And I invite everyone to stick around and enjoy some refreshments that are just behind you, and do some networking, and we'll be available for some question and answers. So thank you all so much for your time this afternoon. Enjoy the rest of the day.